I want the blind to be able to see, and those who see to be able to see beyond. Bronnikov. We are presenting to your attention the first film from a series of films. It is a film about the first stage of the method that is known as the ecology of the spirit. I think that it is a really good title, which, by the way, we borrowed from the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church. He said once that the ecology of the human spirit is the most important thing today. When reading ancient folk tales, we find out that in the past people knew what a dead spirit is and what a living spirit is. We speak a lot about spirituality and spiritual powers without actually understanding what these are. We try not only to tell about spiritual power, but also to demonstrate how we develop it. And we need it now more than ever, because we are influenced by computer technologies and an aggressive external environment. And man has neither the qualities nor the reactions to protect him from this artificial modern world. Vyacheslav Mikhailovich Bronnikov, born February 1st, 1952, in Feodosia, academician of the Informatization Academy, Doctor of Philosophy, Professor, founder of Cosmos Psychobiology, author of the method Informational Human Development, President of the International Academy of Human Development, author and head of the International Investment Project Social Ecology of the 21st Century, Chairman of the Council Health of Nations. In our time, in a time of globalization, human psychology has changed completely. Everything is changing in our world, and instead of changing and transforming, man has many problems with health and development. Children are experiencing a sharp decrease in the ability to learn. So, how can we continue to live without being able to improve ourselves? Computer systems are upgraded every 12 to 18 months. And what about humans? We have become hostages of modern life, of our own creation. That is why life itself is looking for ways to help itself, its close friends and people around, to change the situation. Man has enormous resources, enormous abilities. Just remember that using only 3 to 5% of the potential of our brain, humanity created computer technologies, satellites, spacecraft, the nuclear industry, and many other things. And what is going to happen if man develops 50% of the potential of his brain? Just imagine the global opportunities that open up. So our way, I think that we are perfectly capable of developing these unused hidden abilities of the human mind by using these numerous methods and techniques, just like ours. And then we will be able not only to maintain our health, but also to fit in the constantly changing environment. By using these new abilities and possibilities, we can access the so-called human internet and get information in completely new ways and process large amounts of information. Develop new ways of vision, just like the one we offer, the biocomputer type of vision. Our mind is capable of seeing information directly, understanding what information is. not only that of material space, but also of immaterial space and other spaces. It is all perfectly realistic and possible today, but it all starts from the first stage, from one's ability to control his own energy. And energy is linked to our senses, our phantom senses, and system holistic psychology forms the basis of all of this. The lessons on the first stage of the method are administered by the author of the method, President of the International Academy of Human Development, V.M. Bronnikov, also featuring diagnostician, method specialist Nikolaeva Natalia Grigorievna, expert diagnostician Nadezhda Pervukhina, also students Irina and Tatiana. Theoretical basics of the method. Background. The basis of this method is the ancient Slavic Tibetan system, Ruby Dragon Eye martial art. What system is it? Where does it come from? First of all, I'll tell you a little about myself. Since the age of 3, a Tibetan monk who regularly visited Feodosia has taught me. I met him one summer when I was 3, and it so happened that he started to teach me. Most of the teaching took place while I slept. I didn't even realize how serious and important that was. And then the basis of the method that he was teaching me is the system of the presence of emptiness. What is this system all about? It includes the system of the dragon, the system of the dead, and the system of resurrection. It is considered impossible to actually master the system of the presence of emptiness. It is considered that every man has all the information within him from the beginning, certain divine knowledge that is present. That is why they say that it is impossible to teach it, you can only master it yourself. Even though I'm a teacher of the system, there is actually no teacher in this system. Every man must develop himself and teach himself. I'm just a kind of irritant, mediator, an assistant that helps you discover this knowledge within yourself. Every man has this divine knowledge, the system of the dragon, the system of the dead, and the system of resurrection. The dead exist behind every man. His acquaintances, his parents, if they're dead, his grandfathers and grandmothers, great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers, and so on. So there is a large structure behind you, but very few people know this or think about this, and they work through our body. We either offer resistance and hinder their activity, or help them to reveal themselves. And these dead ancestors need our help so that our information goes through us and helps them through our bodies. So there is a certain interaction going on through our body. And it depends on human readiness, how these forces of the dead either work through us or don't. So you really should wake up and recall in this life. And when you choose the right stance in life, great opportunities open up. I would like to clarify that I possess the knowledge of the system of the dragon, the system of the dead, and the system of resurrection. But I should say that the system of the dragon is viewed in material space. It is a system of transformation, the system of the birth of cells and the death of cells. Everything comes into life and dies, so there's a constant flow of life. The system of the dragon, used in its oriental version, comprises 8 hexagrams, or a large dragon. I possess the knowledge of only 1/8 of this dragon. It is a fire dragon. Over here you can see a more detailed diagram. It's a kind of segment or a sector of this diagram. I only possess the knowledge of the ruby-eyed dragon or fire dragon. I repeat, it is only one of the 8 hexagrams. I know that there will be a time when my colleagues come to me and bring me the Maya dragon, the water dragon, so I mean the technologies, and we will unite to form a single system. That's how we got the system of the Earth Dragon, the choice system, the system of the Earth Dragon. And we already have other systems, so we're uniting into one powerful system, so we complement each other with a certain technique. So this is the system of the ruby dragon eye. It features a small dragon that develops in the human body first. It's a small system of transformation. Then there's the medium dragon and the big dragon. In the process of learning, there's a whole circle of perceptions being created, a kind of image. Ancient mythology is the transmission of image. So that as we live, we develop a number of technologies in our lives. Creating this single image is, in Christian terms, if we use the Christian mythology, is actually Michael the Archangel. So it is a warrior of God, it is the 7 basic systems. Column standing system, fast wind system, 5B system, drunkard system, sleeping god system, and presence of emptiness system. So there are the 7 basic systems. So this image is formed by spinning counterclockwise on the basis of centrifugal forces and clockwise on the basis of centripetal force. So, in other words, we either work towards the circle or the spot. If we use these exercises correctly, there is a protective square being formed, which has 4 so-called portals, 4 gateways for the input and output of energy and opportunities. So, if we know how to form the image, gradually we can correctly interact with the sky, man, earth system. So we constantly direct our attention to the sky, to the future, to our fantasy or imagination, or to the earth, to our memory, wisdom, ancient information, our ancestors. By interacting and understanding those forces, man receives a certain center. Now I want to tell you about the Bronnikov method. First of all, why the Bronnikov method? I must say that I have nothing to do with this method whatsoever. This method is an ancient system, a most complicated system. I'm still studying it myself and I have a lot to learn. But there was a situation in my life when I realized that these techniques, these exercises need to be taught to children. I had small kids then, to my wife, because I understood that it was really valuable, really important. It turns out that people don't know anything about it, about phantom senses, about fundamental senses, about working with the mind, working with essences, working with energies, bioenergy, psychoenergy, psychoplasma. And I started thinking, what do I do? How do I do it? Just imagine the Ruby Dragon Eye system itself, the part of which is reviewed in the material space, has a complicated structure. You see it as a powerful pyramid. The first, second and third stages take up only a small part. So it is the entrance into the topic, so to speak. That is stages 1, 2 and 3. If we look at this method from a different perspective, the first stage has a complication, and there are 18 stages in the whole method. I haven't nearly covered all these 18 stages myself, because the further you go, the bigger the team should be. It's not the way of a lonely psycho, it's a collective way. So I am still moving along that way, and every stage has 18 levels of complication. The volume is gigantic. It's not even certain that we will be able to understand this system. Time will tell. Just imagine the first stage alone has 144 exercises. How can you teach a child 144 exercises? There's no way it can be done. And so why the Bronnikov method? I have tried to establish an algorithm of those exercises to communicate the idea of this first stage. I made 18 exercises, I united them, I made a kind of small sandwich. 144 exercises are needed. Say a car needs 144 parts to go, and I made a car of 18 parts, say without a trunk, without something else, so just the main parts. But strange as it may seem, this car, this method is perfectly functional. So I succeeded. A child managed to acquire this ability. My son, daughter, wife, friends, it worked with all of them. And then I was told by some of my friends, very serious people, that this method should be marked like a kind of red lamp, like a sign, the Bronnikov method. Even though I repeat, this is an ancient system, which I'm only somewhat related to, but the algorithm I created for the first, second and third stages, there's also one for the fourth stage, is my own creation. How successful it will turn out to be, how practical, is for time to decide. At least I can tell you that the first stage is spreading really fast, so people pick it up, take it and start using it. The first stage consists of 18 exercises. The main safety measures for these exercises are: first, all exercises are done with open eyes. Second, all movements are made clockwise. Third, the student must tune his mind in the right way, be in the observer position, concentrate his attention on the senses of energy. Compare them in different exercises and tell the one performing the role of the teacher about them. Fourth, the control word for the exercise is a clear yes from the student, which testifies to a confident state of mind. 5. Neither the student nor the teacher is allowed to use vision, meaning auras, etc. They should work only with senses. 6. If pain or any other negative reactions occur, you should decrease the duration of the exercise or temporarily stop it. You should remember that the process of activating the energy exchange in the body is taking place. Different parts of the brain are tuning into work. The body goes to an active stage. In the process of the exercises, negative reactions will disappear. Exercise. Developing a sense of bioenergy. Ball, accordion, ray. At the beginning of our exercises, it is very important that the student himself learns to control bioenergy. Because when he comes to our exercises, he doesn't know what bioenergy is and what to do about it. First of all, bioenergy is more of a colloquial term. It would be more correct to call it phantom senses. A simple example. After a man's leg is amputated, it can still hurt or itch, etc. It is connected with our memory, with our imagination. It's the way our brain works. It turns out that man can create those conditions, those states of mind himself. For instance, kids can imagine that they are, say, a butterfly when playing. When we were kids, we all used our imagination to create different states. So here is what phantom feelings are about. Just imagine, I rub my hands and I give my brain a command that I'm holding a ball. You can practice that too. Rub your hands, create the impression that you have a ball in your hands. You should use your memory and imagination to do that. And you will get the sense of a rubber ball. You squeeze it, it's made of rubber, you stretch it, you squeeze it, you stretch it. If you get this impression, it means that your brain is working well, that your imagination is working well, your memory is working well. If something is blocking, that means that the material part dominates inside him. It means that the man has lost the child within. Remember, the Bible teaches us to be like children, should be able to play with the situation, use phantom feelings. What's actually happening when we do it? Of course, it's not happening in our hands. It's happening, first of all, in the head. How can we understand this? In order to create a connection between the two brain centers responsible for the right and left hands, you should just rub your hands. You rub your hands and set up a connection between the two brain centers responsible for them. And for this connection, we employ memory and imagination. So we imagine that we are holding a ball in our hands. We employ the image and we get a sense of a ball. It's like when an actor that gets himself into a state to play an old man or Napoleon or someone else. He performs a certain role, so a brain program starts working. So our task is to use our imagination and our memory to develop phantom feelings. These phantom feelings allow us to create certain sensations along the hand, for instance. Like I'm doing now, I'm creating a wave-like movement along my left hand with the right one the other way now. I'm taking a kind of rubber band out of my hand, I'm pushing it back in. I'm making such moves. It's quite easy, especially for kids, they do it very easily. And such phantom sensations can be created across the whole body. When a person gets the shivers, a kind of state when he feels fear, the phantom senses are at work there. What does it all mean? It means a lot. For example, This energy can be concentrated, so I sense my left hand with my right one, and now look, I use my finger to create a concentrated flow. As if a ray is going along the hand, I can move this ray along the left hand and feel the movement of this ray, concentrated. You can also capture a certain feeling, drag it out, push it back. What is actually happening? The phantom senses are influencing the capillaries in our body. The vessels are starting to react. The nervous system starts to react powerfully to these movements. Tanichka, in order to be able to do the exercises of the first step, you should be able to feel bioenergy primarily with your hands. How does this happen? What is it? First of all, bioenergy actually implies phantom senses. They are developed on the basis of memory and imagination. So we rub our hands now. Put your hands like this. I will be making such movements and you tell me what you feel. I feel warmth, chaotic movement, tingling. I'm a kind of irritant. I activate this energy and you start to feel it. Now stretch your hand out. Now I will be activating your hand and I will be moving the energy in it up and down. Are you experiencing any feelings? I feel warmth and tingling again. Movement, weight. Good. I have to show you that ordinary girls, ordinary people can help each other develop this bioenergy, these senses that can later form a whole system. Rub your hands. Tanishka will be in the position of a student and Irichka in that of a teacher. Make some movements, Irichka, just some chaotic movements. Up, down, right, left, rotating movements, counterclockwise, clockwise, trying to capture something. Do you feel anything? Warmth in my palms, some tingling. Try to capture some energy and draw it towards you, push it. Yes, I feel some stretching sensation between the palms. Tanishka, what are you feeling? I feel warmth and at the same time cold. I feel cold in my left hand and warmth in the right one. Those are quite peculiar primary sensations. Thank you. We have established a contact with these senses, the phantom senses. Now I suggest that our expert, our specialist, Nadichka, looks with her biocomputer at what is happening in Tanishka's hand with the help of my energy. What changes will be taking place? Please put your mask on. Please look at her hand, her energy, her blood vessels, circulation. All processes in the hand are going slowly, inertly, the energy is flowing very slowly, there's hardly any energy movement in the bone channels. Just a slight fluctuation, that's all. Let's see what's going to happen now. I create a feeling of energy. I create an energy clump and start moving energy around inside her hand. Away from the hand and towards it, so I make a kind of energy powering back and forth, without specific influence. Tanishka, do you feel anything inside your hand? I feel warmth and heaviness at the same time, so your hand is filling up, so to speak, Nadishka. What do you see? I feel a great flow of energy towards the hand, a great energy powering. It starts moving intensively along the bone channels. So you see the bone channels, see the energy flow. Can you tell me what color the energy is? Bluish-gray. Bluish-gray. All cell processes become more active, blood flows to the hand, blood circulation improves. Okay, so we've done some work. Compare it with this hand. Tanishka, what do you feel in your hands? The right one is heavier and more filled up with energy, and the left one is light and seems empty. Empty, right? So we see what happens. In such exercises, I act as a donor. I fill her up with energy, I activate energy. Doctors participate in our work, they accompany our activities. In this case, I would like to address Natalia Grigorievna Nikolaeva, our doctor, and ask her, these exercises I have just demonstrated working with Tanishka, activating the energy, how would you comment on the influence on health in terms of medicine? What is actually happening? Is the immune system, blood circulation activated or not? I know that you have participated in a number of scientific studies. Could you explain what it does and how it can be used? This method is very effective, especially the exercises activating the cell functions. When activated, the cell receives nutrients, metabolism improves, immune system function improves, blood circulation improves, and the vessels become more resilient and elastic. The nervous system joins in and the person's health in general starts to improve. So all the exercises of this method can be used for preventive purposes, and not just for prevention, but also in rehabilitation. In particular, we have seen a problem of energy clogging in the bones, muscles and tissues. After the activation, cell function improves and this pathology disappears. I think that this is especially important in case of injuries, and people can help each other. So a mother can help her child and vice versa. People can help each other relieve pain, stop bleeding. Healing improves, and this is especially valuable in traumatology. All processes speed up. For example, with the use of this method, you can heal a wound that would otherwise take 1 or 2 months to heal in just 1 or 2 weeks. We distinguish 3 kinds of fields in our exercises. First is the subconsciousness field. It is apple-shaped. The energy is distributed in a linear mode. And the consciousness field, we look at the energy in the human body distributed vertically. This field is egg-shaped. And the superconsciousness field, it has a round shape. The person is usually in the lotus seat, and there is an ideal circle around him. We'll be reviewing these 3 fields during our exercises. Exercise. Determining field parameters. Determining the horizontal boundary of a human biofield. Determining the vertical boundary. The linear field is determined in the following way. The teacher rubs his hands, creates a feeling between his hands, looks at the student. Approaching him from a distance, he tunes into the background energy. This energy pushes his hand, and I feel this force. I approach the student, and I encounter a wall, an obstacle, a shell. When you feel this shell, you have determined the distance of the field from the student. Of course, this distance can be much greater. I'm just demonstrating the principles here. If you push through this field, you may experience various other sensations, but our task is to feel the external field, the external boundary. And feeling that external boundary is very important. The feeling of objectivity needs to be developed in collaboration with an experienced specialist. And he can advise you. Usually a person can push through this field a little bit depending on his energy, or stop some distance away from the field, but the fluctuation of this field can be about 50 centimeters to 1 meter on the primary stage. And with time a very clear and objective perception of this field is developed. We are not determining the field of the mental astral body, we are just determining the energy of the person's biological mass and its activity. So don't confuse it with various other bodies. Man is a very sophisticated creature. He has a great many different field structures, different infrastructures, even some inactive elements in his bodily system. It depends on his state, on his attractions, desires, fears, etc. But our task is to learn how to feel this boundary of the external field with our hands. Vertical energy is determined in the following way. The student must be standing. The teacher climbs a platform. We usually use ladders or some such equipment and look from the top. I repeat, the person should be standing, not sitting. This is just an example how it should be done. My task is to rub my hands, create a sense, and go down from the neutral field, feeling the energy flow from the student's head. As soon as I can start feeling some density at transition boundary, we can measure the distance. This field should be approximately 65 centimeters. If the activity above the head is lower, it testifies to the fact that the back central and front central bone channels are functioning poorly, so the person's body should be activated. If there's a force pulling inwards, it testifies to some problems and the energy should also be activated in this case. Our system is designed in such a way that the teacher helps the student and the student helps the teacher. So we constantly swap roles and activate each other's energy. At the same time, we can point out that this density above the head can be passive or active. This field can be powerful or weak. In some cases, the discharge of energy is very aggressive, very powerful. There's a great number of parameters and you should know them and mark them. By knowing these parameters, we can determine the person's state of health, his spine and brain functions. In case of excessive energy, we make counterclockwise movements to discharge this flow of energy. If we have to make this energy flow more dense, we make clockwise movements and make this flow more dense. The following exercises will demonstrate how we work with this energy in the human body and help retain, develop and use this energy. Exercise: vertical powering. Work with external form, work with internal form. At the beginning of the first stage, we offer you the first basic exercise, energy powering. This exercise is usually done by two people. One is the teacher, the other is the student. Show me your palms. I'm creating a certain sensation, a tingling. Now move back. You experience a certain stretching, as if there's a rubber band connecting us. The student walks back 5-7 meters, he stands in front of me, and I make the following movements. I bend down, I pick up a kind of ball, an energy clump, I pick it up with wave-like movements and let it fall. I pick it up, let it fall, and then I look at the student. I pick it up again, let it fall. Pick it up, let it fall. These movements are made close to the student's head and above it. It is the principle of the transformer. I create an electromagnetic field. There is an inductive current within it. With these movements, I move the energy around. Shouldn't forget to ask the student how he feels. I ask the student to pay attention to his legs, body, hands, head. During this, the student is experiencing different feelings. The student may be experiencing a feeling of energy, warmth, cold. Initially, he can be experiencing some headache, brain vessels are activated, and you shouldn't be too worried. After a few exercises, it will pass and give way to a very comfortable and pleasant state. Rub your hands again. Set your palms against each other's. Irichka is making movements more actively. Tanishka is slowly moving backwards. Are you feeling anything in your palms? There's a sensation of warmth, mainly of warmth. Stand like this. You should stand at a distance of 5-7 meters, ideally. In our case, it is less. You listen to your body, to the sensations within it. And you, Irichka, keep the sensations, lower your hands and try to pick up this clump of energy and then let it fall. It is a fountain-like movements, and don't forget to look at the student. Are you experiencing certain sensations in your hands? Certain stretching sensations? Yes, I am experiencing certain things as if I'm holding something in my hands. And you, Tanishka, I feel warmth throughout my whole body. You feel certain movement? I feel a downwards movement, yes. Wonderful. I also feel warmth in my hands. Are you feeling anything in your body? Yes, across my whole body. So there is an energy exchange going on. It is the transformer principle. Irichka is creating a kind of electromagnetic field and inductive current is forming in Tanishka. The activation process is underway. This exercise is very important to forcibly activate the energy in the student's body. But at the same time, the energy is activated in the teacher's body too. Exercise. Heaviness, lightness. This is a very important exercise, which is a basic exercise in a lot of systems. It is the ability to create heaviness and lightness in our body. All these exercises are based on auto-training. Irichka, as a pupil, will be giving herself commands mentally, and her body should be performing certain actions. Imagine that there is a force entering your body from the top, and it is filling your body. Imagine a bucket that is being filled with water. The bucket becomes heavy. The more water inside it, the heavier it becomes. Use your imagination. Give a mental command to yourself that your body is being filled by energy from the skies. And your body becomes heavy as a statue, as if it were made of lead. Feel the heaviness. Heaviness in the head, in the torso, in your hands, in your legs. Your body is starting to bend. Feel the heaviness. Are you experiencing heaviness? I'm experiencing heaviness across the whole body, a feeling of fullness, and the body is very heavy as if it were made of stone. It would be very hard even to lift an arm. Okay. Now, give yourself a mental command to stop. You switch it off mentally. Yes. The command to switch off these feelings. Now look at the ground, and energy is entering you from the ground, your legs, your torso, your hands, your head, and you become filled up like a balloon. You become lighter. Your body becomes very light. You get a feeling that you are expanding and about to lift off. A lightness, as if a person is becoming wide and light as a balloon. Yes, I have this feeling of lightness, of freedom. I feel very light and free and want to fly up. It is a very pleasant feeling, as if you are lifting off. Yes, as if you are become 20-30 centimeters higher. Now, give a mental command for this sensation to go away. So you can switch the state on and off. Now give yourself a mental command. A flow of energy is entering you from the top. Every cell in your body is being filled up, every organ, hands, legs, torso, and you feel heaviness. Every time this heaviness is more and more powerful at your command. I have this feeling, I feel as if my body were made of stone. It's so heavy. Okay, and every time this feeling will become better and better. Now give a mental command for it to go away. Yes? Okay. It is important to be able to command it to appear and go away. When you feel this state, you should say yes. Now give a command that there is energy entering you from the ground. You are filled with energy and your body is stretching out, widening, and you are experiencing lightness. Internal freedom, you feel some flows within you. You are about to float up like a balloon. Yes, I am feeling I want to fly up. I am feeling freedom in my whole body. Okay, now give a mental command for it to stop. Yes, I am experiencing a neutral sensation now. Yes, a neutral one. You should be able to give a command and switch it off. You give a command, then switch it off. Switch it on, then off. It is very important. It is an auto-training exercise. You learn to give mental commands. What is actually happening? Every cell in your body begins pulsating, pulsating, pulsating. The energy is following your thoughts and your blood is following the energy, so says the ancient wisdom. A lot of the exercises are based on reprogramming our own brain. If we look at our life, that's what we do all the time. When a child goes to school, he teaches his hand how to hold a pen. To write, he reprograms it. From childhood, we teach ourselves to walk, but then when we have to run or swim, we teach our hands and legs set movements. For instance, a person learns to drive. He teaches himself to change gears, to hold the steering wheel, etc. And sometimes we don't even think that we can completely reprogram some of our actions. For instance, when a man raises his leg, he doesn't realize that his brain is registering the heaviness of the leg. I lower it, heaviness again. I put it down and feel the lightness. Throughout the day we walk, we raise the heaviness of the leg and put it down. So we feel heaviness 2 times and lightness once. And by using our exercises, we can reprogram ourselves and create a sensation of energy entering the leg. And the leg becomes light. We create lightness in the leg, we lower it, the leg is light. We put it down and feel heaviness. So we program our brain in such a way that we are experiencing lightness twice and heaviness once. Then throughout the day, we accumulate a feeling of lightness and not heaviness. With the help of such exercises, we manage to reprogram certain sensations. And it is easier to walk, you don't get tired. And they use it in martial arts. They create lightness and attach a weight up to 15 kilos, which creates a very powerful effect for movements and jumping. So they are developing completely new features and characteristics of the martial arts. If a man doesn't know it, by the time he's old, he accumulates so much tiredness in his bodily memory that no pills will help him. And a lot of problems occur, especially with blood circulation in the legs. By using such reprogramming exercises, elderly people, people with movement function problems rehabilitate very fast. I can give an example from my own practice in which hypertension was alleviated due to the exercises of the first stage. There was a woman that came from Moscow and she told us that for a year she did just one exercise, heaviness, lightness, because the other exercises were too complicated for her. She had hypertension and she could barely get out of bed. And by doing just this one exercise throughout the year, she managed to get out of bed and come here and study the first stage. So she achieved this powerful effect just by doing one exercise. She improved her blood circulation and general health. Her blood pressure normalized and she started to feel fine again. Theoretical background of the method. Human energy informational field structures. All our exercises are aimed not only at developing the energy in the human body, but also at developing the energy interaction between humans to set up a one-for-all and all-for-one type of situation, so that different energies complement each other. Usually when a person is underdeveloped, only his protective energy is working. It protects and shelters him from external energy. Our system is designed to allow my energy to interflow with my partner's energy, with the energies of people close to me. Husband and wife, in other words, should form a unified sense if their energy interflow is structured correctly, so that I complement the other person and he complements me. But in order to achieve that, one should develop different qualities and characteristics to teach one's energy to communicate. It's like playing tennis. When a person learns to play, he doesn't know how to serve, how to hold the racket, but gradually he learns to work with his partner, with the object, in a specific place. It's the same here. I would like to demonstrate on this figure that at the initial stage of energy communication there is a certain repulsion, or else the contacts are very limited. But as a result of the exercises, the energies start to interflow, and as a result, a unified essence is formed, a unified energy. It is important that people who are close have a unified energy, and this will prevent families from falling apart. It will make their families strong, because husband, wife, and children will form a unified essence, and that's what our exercises aim to achieve. And there are a lot of examples in which our students solve their health problems, their personal problems. They develop these abilities, and as a result, the climate in their family changes, the relationship changes, and the family becomes a very good one. For example, a child came to us to learn, and he ends up teaching his father, mother, sister, brother, and they form a kind of unified energy cocoon. They stop falling ill, their relationship changes, they stop quarreling, other troubles fall away. People come to us, quit smoking, drinking, so if the energy develops correctly, the good qualities start to dominate, and the bad ones disappear. The next figure. Man is a kind of point, a circle of communication and the environment around him. Of course, we interact with different people, different situations, and we break this circle of communication. And different quarrels, troubles, problems occur. So, how do you sustain this energy, this image, in an ideal form? You should be aware of certain rules. There exist 4 so-called angels of light. Here is a chart of the objectivization of the idea. And you should understand what it is about. If the material part dominates, the material world of the person, his free will, then the forces of the immaterial world are lost. Imagination, premonitions, that is lost if a man is only involved in physical work, if he thinks only of the material world. So you should be able not only just to do things, but also to make predictions. The immaterial space is the space of premonitions. It is connected with our feelings. At the same time, there exists the angel of wisdom. If this is the angel of discretion in the material space, in the immaterial it is the angel of sensitivity. According to ancient wisdom, it is considered that the angel of wisdom is responsible for our earthly life, for our needs. If a man thinks only about his needs, then this angel of requirement is dominant in him, and as a result will lose a certain center. So the sphere, the image, gets distorted. You should also think about the angel of grace at the top. It is our future, our imagination. You should think about the bright future, the wonderful future. The angel of grace is our dreams, our fantasies, the things that will happen tomorrow. Unfortunately, most people don't think about what will happen tomorrow. A lot of people just take it one day at a time. Although a lot depends on psychology, on a man's perceptions. The more global a man's philosophic perceptions, the greater the inner potential. In other words, if a man is simultaneously aimed in 4 directions, he is more stable. There's a concept of support points of the mind. There are 10 of them. They allow a man to retain the form of the hologram. I mean the lucidity of mind. So if a man is developing simultaneously in the direction of discretion of the material world, if a man is paying attention to the past, to his experience, to his memory, if a man is paying attention to forecasting the situation, to his future prospects, so in other words, he perceives the world in all its dimensions, he creates an ideal hologram form. Why is this important? Because thoughts are followed by energy. Imagine that you are thinking in one direction, then your energy is well developed in this direction, but not in the other ones, hence the problems. Just imagine people that look only down when they walk. They only see their legs, so they will have problems with the upper part of the body. The people that always look up, the dreamers, they have problems with their legs. So we know, especially in cases of pancreatic diabetes, the blood vessels and capillaries of the lower part of the body are often affected. Kidneys, legs, etc. In other cases, it's the upper part, the eyes, the capillaries of the eyes, blood circulation in the visual organs, and the person might lose his vision. So, in other words, we should be able to constantly retain the form of the hologram. So, that is probably why, in the past, man and woman were separated, just as in the body we have the arterial and the venous systems. They complete each other to create a certain homeostasis. Now, speaking about man and his energy, we can look at the following figure. Ideally, a man must have a circle of superconsciousness, but this circle depends on the development of the energy of the consciousness, this egg-shaped form. And this apple-shaped form is the subconsciousness. So the physical body has linear energy, a kind of horizontal energy. And the conscious function connected with our spine, our bone marrow, our brain, works vertically. This dynamics depends on, I'll show you again on the figure, either the subconscious dominates, i.e. the physical body, the person is involved with his physical body, the linear field is dominant. If the conscious function dominates, then the egg-shaped field is dominant. Of course, in cases of such interactions, the ideal ball-shaped form is impossible. Hence the external influence causing different problems, fractures, destabilization of different functions. So we really need an ideal form, and it depends primarily on our activities in the system. And it depends primarily on our activities in the system Sky, Man, Earth. And in this respect, it is very valuable that a student works with a teacher. So we have this teacher-student principle. If somebody is working with me, I'm in the position of a student, and the other person is helping me with energy powering. So he enforces the Sky-Man-Earth flow. He enforces this circulation within me. And to restore my function, for instance, if the upper part of my energy was dominant, he harmonizes me, employing energy powering. Then I work with him and harmonize him. Then when I come home, I work with the earth, lift the energy from the earth. It is the dragon exercise and so forth. So this set of exercises helps develop a powerful and ideal energy flow within a person. And then pathologies disappear of their own accord. We have within our organism the essential nature. So we consist of a great many thin matter objects. Our heart does not just have the material part, a sort of pump made of muscles, a pump made of muscles in some layer. But there's also the field structure around the heart, around the kidney, around the lungs. So they are the thin matter structures that jointly create the structure of thin bodies. Once these field structures are shifted, a lot of pathologies occur. So the aim of the exercise is not just to normalize the general energy, the vertical and horizontal flows, but they also help activate the field structures of the organs and bodily systems. And not just activation, but we also straighten out all those other forms. The diagnostics testify to this. With the help of this energy powering, we can cure the heart, lungs, etc. The disease just disappears as a result of these activities. The curative effect is a kind of byproduct. Exercise. Dry Tibetan massage. This exercise allows us to activate our own energy so that we can forcibly activate the discharge and entrance of energy. This is also a basic exercise used in different systems, Qigong, Wushu, other martial arts, to develop super-sensitive perception. So, how is this exercise done? First of all, I recommend you to do this exercise in the morning when we wake up. Get out of bed when our body is more or less naked. Just perform a massage, rub our hands, head, to establish a better contact between our body and brain, so that the organism wakes up better. Then, after a light massage of the body, I suggest to start with the left hand and we create a sensation of a ball, and holding this sensation of energy in my right hand, I capture the energy and forcibly pull out the energy from myself. So I draw the energy in with my hand and discharge it. Then discharge it. Then I capture some energy from the air by breathing in and push it into my hand. I should explain that the external part of our torso gives energy, while the internal part receives energy. That's how the circulation is set up. Energy goes out from the back and comes in from the front. Energy goes out from the external part of the leg and comes into the internal part. So that's how the energy circulation is set up. With the help of the dry Tibetan massage, I force the energy flow from the body and towards it. Capture the energy around the neck and drag it along the external part of the hand. Drag it out forcibly. We are trying to enforce the discharge of energy from the external part of the hand. Breathe it in, draw it in, and discharge it. capture the energy here and push it in, breathing out. Push it in, discharge it. Once again, capture it with force, drag this energy along the external part, push it on the internal part. What are your feelings, girls? I feel warmth and the movement of energy, and this movement is forced. Okay, so a person himself can move this energy inside him. When working with legs, in this case I'm starting with the left one, I capture the energy in the region of the waist. I breathe in and draw this energy out of my leg with wave-like movements, and then breathe out and push it in. I repeat that when I draw the energy out of my leg, I discharge it to the ground, and then I capture it from the ground and push it into myself, into the lower center. I do the same thing with the right leg. I capture the energy in the region of the waist, breathing in. With wave-like movements, I pull this energy out and discharge it into the ground. Then I breathe out, capture the energy and push it inside me. We capture the energy in the region of the waist, we draw the energy out with our hands and drag it down the left leg, and we discharge it into the ground. Then capture the energy from the ground and push it into the internal part. Push it in, breathe out, and into the lower center. Okay, now do the same thing with the right leg. Capture the energy around the waist, breathe in. Okay, with force, and discharge into the ground. Discharge. Then we capture it from the ground and breathe out and push it into the internal part of the right leg, into the lower center. All these exercises are done 5-10 times, depending on the sensations and state of health. If man has some problems or pathologies, it is recommended to do more exercises consistently. I also want to stress that the safety measures are based on your own sensations. If you feel an overload, some unpleasant state, then you should stop. In the next exercise of this set, we perform the same drawing in the region of the back of the head. We capture the energy, we'll lift it with our hands, breathing in, and then breathe out and discharge it from the front. Once again, we capture it at the back of the neck, breathing in, and then breathe out and discharge it. We are pushing this flow of energy inside ourselves. This exercise should also be repeated 5-10 times. And the last thing, we capture the energy in the region of the waist. Our hands should be cup-shaped. So we use these cups to capture the energy in the region of the waist, breathing in, then breathe out and discharge it from the front. Once again. So in the region of the waist, we capture and drag out the energy, and then we push it into the lower center. There's a powerful activation of the urogenital system. Before doing this exercise, you should imagine the following position of the hands. When our hands are open, our palms are cup-shaped, as if we have two cups in our hands. Imagine that they're full, they're heavy, we turn them over and they're light. Now we capture something, they're full. We turn them upside down, something is pouring out, they are light. Now with these light hands you capture the energy in the region of the waist with these cups. Breathe in. The cups are full and heavy. Now throw it off, pour it out. And we repeat this 5 to 10 times. Exercise. Dragon. This exercise is done in the following way. It is considered that there are energy centers in our palms through which energy enters our body, and in the mouth. So there are 3 energy entrances in the upper part: the mouth and 2 hands, through which the energy enters from the top, from the sky. The energy enters into our mouth and our hands and goes through our body and through our feet. It goes into the ground and through the crotch. So the energy goes through a person and into the ground, and then it goes back through the feet, goes through the body, and goes out through the hands and mouth into the skies. This exercise, the dragon exercise, serves to turn our body into a superconductor, or to provide resistance. I should be like a kind of tap that opens the flow of energy and closes it. Raise your hands. Your legs should be shoulder width apart. Bend your legs in the knees a little bit. Your mouth should be facing up. Your palms open. Breathe in. Open your mouth a bit. Feel the energy coming in through your palms and your mouth, down to the middle of your torso, to the solar plexus. You breathe in. Feel that you are filled with energy. Then breathe out. Feel the energy going out through your feet, through the crotch. As you breathe out into the ground, feel the 3 flows. Then the other way around. Breathe in and feel the energy going up through your feet, through the crotch, up to the middle of the torso, up to the solar plexus. Then breathe out. Let's repeat it once again. We will ask Tanichka to breathe in. So breathe in. What do you see happening? What can you say? A powerful flow of energy is going through Tanya. It enters into her hands and goes out through her feet. At this time the connection with the skies is being set up. So some connections appear, yes. What color are they? What are they like? The flows from the skies are pastel blue. And what happens to them when they go into the ground? As it goes through the body, it grows darker, becoming almost dark blue, and then goes into the ground. And what happens when it goes the other way? The flow going from the ground is dark brown. It stops in the region of the stomach, and then goes out through the hands, and it is more like red in color. More red in color, right? Okay. How can you explain the flow of energy that comes from above, is inside her and goes out? Can we say that there are 3 processes going on? Yes, it enters through the hands, then it stops in the region of the stomach, so the energy spreads throughout the body, it feeds the organs, every cell, then it accumulates and goes out through the feet. Theoretical basis of the method. That beta scheme of human field states qualities logistics. People often ask me, why does one need the method at all? What purpose does it serve? All these phantom senses, all these energies. There is one very good example that explains it. Here is the representation of human auras logistics. These pictures are taken from a book by the most prominent English wizard, Bita. This book was published in 1920, and it demonstrates this whole system very well. The book is called Man Visible and Invisible. I want to digress a little bit and say that the system I'm dealing with is a system of surprise, a system of paradoxes. And one of the surprises for you will be what I will try to tell you now, based on the examples of the schemes developed by one of the greatest telepathists of his time, that Bita. It is very important to study the aura of an angry man, first of all. It is the most important position. You see the black and red lightnings, the different curves. What does it all mean? When a man is angry, the information discharge is very powerful. It is represented in black energy, and red lightning represents sexual energy. What is it all about? Imagine you are starting your car. The car starts, the noise, the vibration. It is the same in our body. An outburst, an impulse of the spirit in the primitive state is anger. That switches on our different life functions. When a child is born, it cries and shouts, and imagine if it doesn't. Everyone panics and understands there's something wrong. It turns out that the first important beginnings of life processes are connected with aggression and anger. It is very important, however, what the person's attitude to that is. Some people who are listening to me might be in panic, and they are distrustful that it can be true. A lot of people want everything to be good and kind and wonderful. They want love. They want everything to be nice. My dear friends, in order to achieve that, you should put in some work. You must have a lot of strength, a lot of energy. And where do you get this energy from? There are oscillating systems. There's flicker noise, nature's primary oscillating system. There's quantum noise, the oscillating system of space, white noise. All this creates certain primary vibrations in man. When a man is angry, it is a powerful, primitive, primary reaction. And it is very important what the man's attitude to that is. If a person who doesn't know how to drive starts driving, he is bound to have an accident. In this case, anger may lead to a disease and result in death. Most people are ignorant. They can't play and express emotions and live at the same time. If you live, it means that you are dying, and if you play, you are generating life. It's ancient wisdom. By creating anger, You can activate your whole organism. If you know how to use this anger, this energy, you can excite every cell in your body. And that is where the animal state of man develops, his, so to speak, subconsciousness. If he knows how to use this power, this energy, he develops his brain. He activates it, so he goes into the animal state. His brain is developing, his supersensitive gland, his supersensitive perception is developing. So his personal qualities develop. So this is the animal stage. Then if he knows how to transform this energy within him, he evolves into man developed. Various centers in his organism switch on. And a completely different radiance emanates from him. Just think where this energy might be coming from. A man can be compared to a stove, to an ordinary stove that can use either wood or coal. So here we go, we light up the stove and it can lead to a tragedy, cause a fire, etc. Or, on the other hand, it can generate warmth, comfort, cook food, etc. And by developing this powerful energy, a man can upgrade himself from an ordinary stove to a furnace and able to provide warmth for a whole neighborhood, for whole regions. And then he turns into a kind of nuclear reactor, an extremely powerful aura. So actions can give rise to harmony and beauty if you know how to use it. And this in its turn conceives love. But if you don't activate your energy, where will you find the strength to live? It turns out that by using certain exercises, for instance, when you just massage your arm with energy, there are little vibrations of certain processes in the hand. And now imagine this arm powerfully capturing the energy with a certain degree of violence even, and it activates it powerfully so that the energy inside is rampant. The sensations are completely different. I capture it and drag it out, then push the energy inside me. So these exercises can help form a powerful protective function for the organism. And it is very important that a man knows how to counteract. So our exercises enable the transition of the energy in a man's body from a passive state into an active one by activating those very forces. So we are playing this. It isn't about living in anger, it is about playing in anger. It is important to be able to promptly turn those qualities on and off. Turn them on and off. So that is what we are teaching in stage 1. Exercise. Energy powering of the head. The exercise energy powering of the head is done by the teacher for the student. The ability to breathe with your hands is used here, so you mentally breathe in through your hands. I act here as a kind of additional force for the powering of energy through the head, through different centers in the head to activate blood circulation and metabolism in the brain. And most importantly, we prepare the person's brain for working with powerful energy. And in addition to that, we develop in man the perception of energy in various body parts. In this case, I use my strong hand. It is the right one for me, and I put it at the base of the skull. And I put my left hand on the forehead. I breathe out with my right hand and draw in with the left one. And I repeat that 5 to 10 times. Then you can change hands. I put the strong hand on the brow and the left hand to the base of the skull, and I take the energy through from the forehead to the base of the skull. So there is a flow of energy. Irichka, please tell me, did you feel a flow of energy inside you during the exercise? I felt a heaviness in my head, and I felt the flows of energy drawing in and pushing. Some movement, right? Yes, some movement. Did you have any headache or anything? No, just a little heaviness. Heaviness, well, it's the vessels starting to react. So this exercise is absolutely safe, and it makes brain vessels more elastic. So we continue. Apart from energy powering from the base of the skull to the forehead, we do the following powering. From the base of the skull, around the right ear to the left temple. So I perform diagonal powering. I draw in with my left hand, and I repeat this 5 to 10 times, one way, and 5 to 10 times the other way. Then I change the exercise. I do the powering from the left ear to the right temple. In this case, I apply the more powerful hand to the right temple, and I can perform diagonal powering top to bottom, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter in this exercise. And I also repeat this 5 to 10 times. Now I change my position. Now I will be breathing in from the other side and the base of the skull, and breathing out into the right temple, drawing in with my left hand. This exercise is also repeated 5 to 10 times. What were your sensations this time? I felt a slight headache at the back of my head, and I could also feel the energy flows quite well. It's movement, right? Yes, it's movement from your hands. I see. Now that I have removed my hands, has the pain stopped? Not quite, there's still some heaviness. So you see, when the brain vessels are not ready, this is how they react. There's nothing to worry about here, nothing to worry about. In a couple of minutes it will pass. Now the next exercise. I apply my hands to the base of the skull and the top of the head. I do the powering for the midbrain. So all of the back part of the brain falls under the influence of my energy. And this exercise should also be repeated 5 to 10 times. And the other way, you may change hands depending on your abilities, if you wish. If your right hand is more active, it's better to do it this way. All the exercises should be finished by discharging the energy to the outside. So I come back to it again and discharge the energy upwards. What are your feelings now? My vision became sharper. I did not experience any unpleasant sensations. So the pain went away, right? Yes, right. Good. So these exercises are aimed at improving the performance of the blood vessels in the brain. But more importantly, our experience demonstrates that they considerably improve visual function. This exercise is a very powerful preventive measure, primarily for the visual function. The next exercise in this complex, I apply my hands to the two cerebral hemispheres, the right hand to the right hemisphere and the left hand to the left one. There should be some space between the hands. I breathe out with my right hand and I draw in with my left hand. I breathe out again. I draw in with the left one. And I repeat this 5 to 10 times. Then you can do it the other way and you don't have to change your hands. Now I breathe out with my left hand and draw in with the right one. I breathe out with my left hand and draw in with the right one. In this case, it doesn't matter which way we finish the exercise, right or left. It is advisable to ask what the person is feeling, because when you are doing it for the first time, some unpleasant sensations may occur, then they pass. After this exercise, I felt heaviness in my head and some internal pressure. Pressure, so you mean a sensation of fullness? Yes, fullness. I see, okay. Next exercise. I apply one hand to the top of the head, to the crown. I should point out that there are a great many energy entrances and exit points in this part of the head. By means of this exercise, I will be improving the organism's channeling abilities. I will do a breathe out with my right hand, through her whole body, through her legs, into the ground, and then vice versa, drawing the energy from the ground, through her legs and torso upwards. This exercise is effective for the general harmonization of the organism. I breathe out with my right hand downwards. I breathe in. Breathe out again. Breathe in from the bottom. And you finish by discharging the energy upwards. This exercise is also repeated 5 to 10 times. I also want to advise you on the possible combinations here. All these exercises have further refinements, of course. But right now I can tell you that when applying hands, you can perform the power in one way or the other. This helps bring the energy inside the man's body in motion if it's in stagnation. I was doing it either one way or the other, although you can do it both ways to set the energy in motion. Apart from that, in this final exercise that I demonstrated, you can apply the hand to the side and simultaneously activate the energy upwards with the right hand or downwards. So there are numerous ways to diversify these exercises to additionally activate the energy. I'm only demonstrating the basics. If you do this exercise, especially if it is done by the mother to a child or vice versa, it can be a very helpful preventive exercise for developing different bodily systems. Let's ask our expert diagnostician, Nadichka, to comment on what is happening to the energy during the exercise. So, what was happening when I did the powering from the base of the skull to the forehead and drew in with my left hand? How can you describe it? What did you see? I was registering a flow going through the head, from the right hand to the left one and vice versa through the head. And the more you do this exercise, the stronger it becomes, right? Yes, it becomes stronger and greater in volume. And the field, does it start glowing? Yes, it starts glowing, it becomes brighter, all the dark spots disappear. She also had some indentations in her field, they smoothed out. Natalia Grigorievna, could you explain the influence of this exercise as a doctor, as a specialist? I know that you have studied our specialists under laboratory conditions, our patients after this exercise, use different equipment. What can you say about the influence of this exercise on a person's health? All the exercises in this method influence primarily the vascular system. So the vessels go from the inactive state into the active one. There is a powerful blood flow from the major blood vessels to the vessels in the head. They expand in volume, a lot of blood flows in, so there is an enlargement. That is why Irichka was experiencing some heaviness in her head. It testifies to the fact that the vessels are filling with blood, especially the arterial vessels, and then in the next exercise the vessels begin to contract. So in the exercise the vessels expand and contract, and with the last movements they harmonize. It is a very good exercise for people with various pathologies of the brain vessels. It is especially good for the prevention of various problems in cases of neurocirculatory dystonia, in cases of hypertension and different blood vessel disorders and complications after strokes, injuries or surgery. Exercise, energy powering of the eyes. This exercise is performed with the help of a teacher, partner. So how is it done? First of all, we create the sense of bioenergy in our hands and we retain this sense in the field. The task is to concentrate the energy in the left hand in the back of the head, and capturing the energy of the right eye, I start pushing it into the eye and dragging it out, drawing it out. Then I push it back in, so I perform a certain powering, as if pulling a rubber band going diagonally through the head. I influence the thalamus, the optic foramen of the right eye. So I'm working diagonally. You shouldn't forget to inquire about the student's sensations. I sense movements, and when your hand is approaching my eye, I feel some pressure within it. Okay, is it bearable? No, it doesn't hurt, it's just a bit unpleasant. Yes, it is a bit unpleasant, the eyes may start watering, but it is a very useful exercise for the re-establishment of the energy exchange, for circulation management inside the eye, inside the brain, for visual function. So I capture this energy, I draw it out, drag it out, and push it back in. The person can be experiencing somewhat unpleasant sensations. The eye can start watering. In case of unpleasant sensations, you should stop. Then I do the same with the left eye. I create a sense of bioenergy, capture the energy in the region of the left eye. I push it in and pull it out, push it in and pull it out, forcibly activating the energy flow. In this case, I feel more specific sensations. The eye certainly feels better. Yes, I want to explain that our eyes do not only receive energy and information, but also emit it. That is why you should be able to do diagnostics. Before the exercise, you can look at how the energy is being emitted from the left eye and right eye, and then look at how it's changed after the exercise. The energy in both eyes should be equal. However, often the right eye is drawing in energy and the left one is emitting it, or vice versa, so there can be some distortions in the energy exchange. It is connected with the level of activity in the right and left brain hemispheres. As a rule, people have a low tonus of the visual function. It's connected with the influence of computers on our eyes. This exercise is very good for the rehabilitation of the visual function, especially for people that spend a lot of time working on the computer. Can help restore vision, so a mother can help her child with his vision with the help of this exercise. Instead of just putting glasses on him, should be able to restore the natural function. So these exercises of the first stage allow the development of the person's brain, of the person's visual function, urogenital system, spine, bone channels, and we mold the man, creating a powerful energy informational structure. The first stage serves as a preventive measure for a lot of diseases. We are transferring the organism from the passive stage into the active one. I also wanted to demonstrate another important exercise. You can capture the energy with both hands, drag it out, draw out the energy from the head, and then push it back in. Capture it, drag it out, and then push it back in. And I recommend that the student tries it too. So, rub your hand. Feel the flow of energy from your eye. Yes, you feel it. Yes. Now try to drag out this energy and push it back in. Are you experiencing anything? Yes, I am. It's not as clear as when you were doing it. Try to do it more actively. So a person can do it himself as a kind of preventive measure. There are two spots in the region of the eyes connected with the gastrointestinal tract with its energy. When we activate the eyes, you can feel the flow of energy from those spots. You can capture that flow and activate this energy flow by pulling it out and pushing it in. In this way, we simultaneously activate the energy flows going to and from the eyes. We massage and at the same time train the eyes with respect to energy. This training develops this function and the eyes can regain their protective functions very fast. It provides a very good effect for the eyes of people that work a lot on the computer. Eyes grow tired because of tension, vessel contraction, and with the help of this exercise, you can activate blood circulation very effectively and provide relaxation for this part of the organism and improve blood circulation. In cases of vision deterioration in any situation, be it child or adult, the energy in the eyes is distorted. So the energy might be entering the visual analyzer easily, but its exit is hampered. It might be caused by some pathology in the visual analyzers or a general pathology of the organism, so the vision starts deteriorating. The tonus of the muscles controlling the eye starts falling. The ciliary muscles, the crystalline lens, and vision deteriorates. In order to prevent that situation, first of all, we take care of the energy structure of the eyes. So, the exercise powering of the eyes is designed to help the entrance and exit of energy from visual analyzers through the eyes. And as a result, some energy is freed, energy exchange in the eyes improves, the performance of some brain structures improves, the visual analyzer's performance improves. As a result, the muscle structure of the visual analyzers improves, as well as that of the vascular system, so blood circulation, the immune system, and vision gradually starts to improve. Exercise. Energy bell. I create a sense of bioenergy in the usual way, then I gradually lower this ball down and I start sensing my own field. What is actually happening? Imagine that there's a kind of bell tied inside my head. Just an abstract image. I feel this field with my hands and set it in motion. Counterclockwise, clockwise, swinging it back and forth, left and right. So you see I'm making those chaotic movements, and inside you should sense the spot where the bell is tied. And this field structure that I'm swinging starts to move. Now I'm rotating it right, then left. At the same time, I pay attention to the lower center. There is a great deal of energy moving in the lower center. Inside the hand, there is a sense of concentration, contraction, pressure. So this exercise influences different vessels and centers in the brain. And in the region of the urogenital system, it activates the energy, so there's a certain energy movement and relaxation. So I repeat, I create a sense of bioenergy in my hands, I gradually lower it, my legs are slightly bent in the knees, this is the student stance, and I start moving smoothly. Counterclockwise, clockwise. I'm swinging it. Try to move only your hands and keep your torso still. Try to register your sensations. Now I swing it back and forth, and I'm registering a concentration of energy in my head. And there's substantial activation in the region of the urogenital system. You should do this exercise for 5 to 10 minutes. I want to repeat that the aim of this exercise is to activate the urogenital system, and there is a relaxation, a certain swirling of energy, and inside the head there is a concentration of energy. This is called the lower bell. Now we will try the upper bell. I rub my hands again, create a sense of bioenergy, my legs are slightly bent in the knees. I feel the energy. Now imagine that the bell is tied, concentrated in the region of the urogenital system. And it's facing upwards, and at the top it's swinging. In the region of the head, I will be creating a powerful flow of energy, relaxation of energy, swinging of energy. And in the urogenital system, on the other hand, the energy will be concentrated. We repeat once again. So I sense the field structure of this energy in the region of the head. I start swinging it in different ways. We should try to do it with our hands and keep our torso still. Now I start swinging it back and forth, back and forth, left and right. These movements are quite chaotic. I'm swinging the energy. The duration of this exercise is 5–10 minutes, depending on the state of health. In case of some destabilization, you should stop it and take it one step at a time. These exercises, the upper and lower bell, are aimed at developing brain vessels and the urogenital system. It also helps deal with substantial overloads in the head and the urogenital system. These exercises develop homeostatic qualities of working with dynamic energy. Exercise. Horizontal powering. I will demonstrate the horizontal powering exercise. The student is lying on the couch. The teacher activates the back middle channel. The student is lying on his belly. Arms should be open. Eyes should also not be closed. My task is to activate the lower center and the back middle channel. How is it done? I rub my hands to create a cocoon, an energy clump in my hands. I touch the student with his lower center. I make clockwise rotating movements. You can pull it up and push it down. It's a kind of fountain. I pull it up, push it down, and rotate it clockwise. I capture the energy and push it in. I ask the student, "What are you experiencing?" I feel tingling and warmth. Warmth in the pelvis, right? Yes. I capture this sensation and start moving it down the legs in wave-like motions along the bone channels. So I capture it and pull it towards me. I should move back several meters, ideally 5 to 7 meters. If that is impossible, you can do it from a shorter distance too, but if the distance is greater, so is the tension, and it provides more activation and a more powerful effect. I capture these sensations, these phantom feelings, I pull it towards me like a rubber band, and then I push this energy clump back in. My hands are feeling it all very well. I ask the student, "What are you feeling?" I feel backwards movement and tingling. Tingling where? In the legs. In the legs, okay. Do you also feel some internal movement? Yes, I'm feeling vibration. Vibration, okay, wonderful. The aim of the exercise is to activate every cell in the body. At this point, during horizontal powering, the sky-earth energy flow is enforced. I create horizontal activity and every cell starts vibrating. Then I come back with a wave-like movement and I push the energy into the lower center. I establish a contact and move back about 5 to 7 meters. I'm pulling the energy towards me and then sending it back in a wave, in a clump to the student. So I create such wave processes. What are you feeling? I feel cold in my hands and tingling in the left part. And warmth inside, right? Yes. So there's a reaction. I activate a body with those wave-like movements. Now the other way. I'm pushing the energy towards her. I make an energy wave along the legs, along the back middle channel. I activated my left hand is performing the function of a screen. I create a wave along the spine. I activate and help the energy flow along the back middle channel to the head with wave-like movements. What are you feeling? I feel slight pressure in the head. I capture the energy, drag it towards me with wave-like movements, and then I pick up the energy clump and drop it. Pick it up and drop it. And I imagine that I'm activating the energy through her whole body. What are you feeling? I feel a very powerful vibration in my whole body. There's vibration. Every cell starts vibrating. It is a very good preventive exercise. It is also a curative exercise, because the protective functions of the body are being activated. Every cell becomes active and starts functioning powerfully. Now I'm coming back, I'm bringing the energy back to the head, and now I'm approaching her from the other side. Coming back to the head, and from the other side, and start pulling away her energy, field structure, and I activate it with my hands by creating waves. Again, it is advisable to stand 5 to 7 meters away. In this case, of course, the distance is smaller, but it's all working rather well. How are you feeling? I feel cold in my legs, tingling in my arms, and hot in my torso. Great. And so, those are the reactions in your body. Again, all these exercises are repeated 5 to 10 times. It is advisable not to overload the student too much at the beginning of the exercise. It is a very powerful curative and preventive exercise. If the person is ill, you should only do it on the advice of a doctor. So I have performed the activation, I'm returning the energy back, I swing it along the spine, I drag it along the legs, and with wave-like movements I activate the lower center and bring it back to the head. So we have performed a strong powering of the energy along the back middle channel. Now we ask the student to turn over. We have lifted the energy to the head, activated it. Now I capture the energy in the region of the head and start pulling it as if it were on a rubber band, creating a wave. I pull at the energy, I stretch it, and then throw it back to her. With these wave-like movements, I activate the energy in the region of her head. What are you feeling now? I feel lightness. I have the impression that I am flying up. Lightness. So you see, there are certain reactions that is very good. If pain or any other negative sensations occur, it is advisable to stop. Gradually you can increase the force. If a person is healthy, you can do the exercise for quite a long time, as long as he feels okay. Now I come back smoothly and return the energy to the head. So the purpose of this exercise is to drive the energy from the head along the front middle channel to the lower centers. And that way we complete the cycle. the energy goes up along the back middle channel to the head and goes down along the front middle channel to the lower center. So we help the energy to circulate inside, and every cell in our body begins to pulsate, vibrate, and sometimes we can actually see the body vibrating. I would like to stress once again that this exercise is a curative and preventive exercise, and it improves the protective functions of the organism by activating every cell. I activate the energy above the head, in the head, and now I start gradually discharging the energy along the front middle channel. Now I capture this energy on the left and start pulling it toward me with wave-like movements, creating a certain rubber band and sending waves. Tanichka, do you feel waves inside? Yes, I feel the waves and my body is vibrating. I feel as if I was standing in the cold and shivering. Shivering, right? So you see the reactions are quite peculiar and interesting. But are the sensations pleasant or not? Very pleasant, the best I've had. It should be rather interesting, right? Great. I repeat, this exercise should be done from a distance of 5 to 7 meters. But it can be smaller if that's not possible. It is best to do it in a gym. Now I'm bringing this energy back, I'm returning it back, and I make a wave-like movement again from the head to the lower center, and I start gradually shifting this energy to the legs. By pulling this energy along the legs, stretching this imaginary rubber band, and then pushing it back, I actually activate it. What's your feelings? I feel warmth in my whole body and heaviness in my legs. It is a result of the fact that you are filled with energy. This exercise should be repeated 5 to 7 times, 5, 10 times, depending on the sensation of energy density. Now I return the energy and I approach her from the other side. I approach the lower front center and start moving back. All movements are made clockwise. We spin and swing the energy clump, making it more dense. I return this energy along the legs in a wave to the lower center. It's some kind of fountain. I raise the energy, push it in, raise it, activate the lower center. Now I start pulling the energy as if it were a rubber band and sending it back to her body. What's your feelings? It is warmth in my whole body, very warm, even hot. Hot, right? Yes, and vibrations in my whole body again. So this simple exercise enables a powerful activation of the cells in the body. Now I'm returning it and approach the head again, send it back and forth and get back to the head. I create a counterflow of energy along the front middle channel to the head again. I capture the energy, drag it back, activate it. I capture the energy, drag it back, activate it. I send it back along the front middle channel, so there's a swinging of energy, a powering. The eyes must remain open throughout the exercise. Having created the general activation, I capture it in the region of the head again, and I push the energy to the lower center along the front middle channel in a powerful wave. And that is how the exercise ends. These exercises can be used both for prevention and treatment. That is why practically all the exercises develop, stimulate, harmonize, and restore various bodily functions. But some exercises are specifically curative. For example, horizontal powering. The cells and tissues of the body absorb energy and are activated. Horizontal powering can be used in cases of fever, especially in children. If a mother knows these exercises, she can lower the fever of a child in an emergency. The temperature normalizes 15 minutes after the powering, so it can decrease from 41 degrees to 38. And at this temperature only viruses die and the organism functions normally. If you repeat this exercise every 3 hours, you can completely restore the child's health and eliminate the pathology. This has already been tested in practice. The exercise was done by mother to child throughout the night, and in the morning the child was completely healthy. Exercise, splash of energy. This exercise is a basic one for the first stage, and all the other exercises prepare the student's organism for this exercise. This burst exercise is, in Christianity, it is termed the impulse of the Holy Spirit. In order for the impulse of the Holy Spirit to appear in a person, he should prepare his organism for it. In yoga systems, this is called the Kundalini force, but in order for this force to rise, a person's body must be prepared. This burst exercise is the preparation of the organism for the flow of energy. How is it done? With the help of a teacher, a sense of energy is developed in the student. The energy is formed in the region of the base of the spine, a clump of energy, a ball, and it gradually passes along the spine to the head and goes out of the body. This is created by the teacher for the student. It is practically impossible for the student to do it on his own. I will give you a very vivid example. The human organism can be compared to a shotgun, and I'm a kind of bullet that is loaded into the shotgun, and then it starts to work. There is a shot, a splash, a discharge of energy. It is virtually useless to try and develop this in yourself. It is the same as shooting with no bullets. Now I will be forming a certain quality in her with the help of my energy. Her task is to listen to her feelings. I should rub my hands, create a clump of energy in my hands. I lower it down to the lower part of the torso. My left hand is performing the function of a screen. My right one is making the energy more dense by means of clockwise movements, and then I gradually raise this energy along the spine. I raise it to the head and then discharge the energy through the head, through the eyes. The student's eyes should be open. We're doing this exercise for the first time, and I'm helping her with that splash. Now I will ask her to comment and say what she's feeling at the different stages of the exercise. She will help me do the exercise. I rub my hands again, create a clump, lower it. Tanishka, do you feel a clump of energy at the base of the spine? Yes, I feel warmth and tingling. Do you feel a clump of energy? Yes. I will be gradually raising it. Do you feel the movement? Yes, I do. It feels as if my whole back is vibrating. So we are raising it, raising it. Our eyes should stay open. I feel my head being filled up, and it seems that it has become twice as big. Okay, and now I'm discharging this flow of energy through the eyes. Now I feel something leaving my body through the eyes, and my head is released. And now my vision has become sharper. Okay, did you experience any headache or other unpleasant sensations? Yes, at first I had a headache at the back of my head, but then when the energy started leaving my body, it passed. So I raised this little flow of energy and she experienced a headache at the back of her head. You can imagine if this flow bursts through by itself, it can actually even lead to a stroke. So that is what usually causes the stroke, when some joy or grief causes a splash of energy. This can lead to a stroke. This exercise actually protects the vessels in the human brain from a stroke. It makes them elastic enough to cope with any flow of energy. We will now ask Tanishka to close her eyes and repeat the exercise. When a person closes his eyes, he closes a kind of tap and accumulates a large flow of energy in the head. So I rub my hands, make a kind of clump of energy, concentrate it in the region of the base of the spine. Do you feel it? Yes, I do. I'm gradually raising it with wave-like movements, pushing it up, pushing it up. Where are you feeling it? In the head. It went to the head already. I'm pushing it up. In the head already, right? Yes. And now my command, open your eyes. Open your eyes fast. What did you feel? When I opened my eyes, it was in a blur. And now I see very clearly. And you saw light, right? Yes, very bright light. Do you have a headache now? No, I don't. What I want to point out is that the eye should be opened fast, as when you're scared, so that there's a powerful discharge of energy. The animals actually know this, or subconsciously, and they use it. It's in their nature. Man has lost this characteristic. We are restoring natural animal characteristics to man. Exercise. Splash of energy. Revitalization. After studying the first stage, and after mastering the exercises comprising it, you can use the revitalization exercises. It is especially useful at the end of the day when you're tired, and it helps restore your function. So you can do the following exercise. You can do it both at home and at work. Find a comfortable chair or armchair, it doesn't matter. You can do it while you're traveling, walking, standing, etc. But in this case, I will be demonstrating it in a very calm environment. You sit down in a chair or armchair, relax and start falling asleep. You slow down and start falling asleep. You go in such an internal state, and Then you remember the splash, create a sensation in the region of the base of the spine, create a clump and start gradually raising it. Start straightening out gradually. As soon as you feel that your head is full of energy, then you stand up sharply and make a splash. You feel buoyant, light, as if you were just born. You're in a very good state. If you do this splash a couple of times, you can get rid of any kind of tiredness. In one of the cities we worked in, we had a man that had experienced 3 strokes. So we decided to let him do the first stage, but we limited the volume of exercises for him, so that he could start acquiring those skills gradually. And after 10 exercises, after a month of work on the first stage, at the final exercise he spoke and said, "I went to the doctors and they did a cardiogram which surprisingly showed that I never had a stroke." So his heart's energy was fully restored. The general energy exchange in the organism was restored. The arrhythmia in the heart disappeared and it started functioning absolutely normally. Exercise, standing still. There is a whole school, a whole technique of standing still. So, what does this technique actually imply? Try it at home, assume the student stands, legs shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, hands in front of your chest. Assume the stand. And stand still, motionless. Don't move your eyes or your head. Be still. And you will feel that standing still like that is very hard. Why is that? What is actually happening? In a couple of minutes you will start experiencing certain sensations in your body, vibrations, pain, destabilization. It is usually impossible for a man to remain still even for a few minutes, and you should actually be able to do that for not less than 30 minutes. For an ordinary person it is very hard. What is actually happening? What is causing the destabilization if I am doing nothing? It can be explained by a very simple example. Imagine that you are in an apartment, in a house. Everything is in its right place, the walls, the ceiling, the windows, and then if it suddenly starts moving, what is it? An earthquake? Everyone will start running around in panic. This is the opposite with our body. If we move, our blood cells and other cells understand that the body is alive and everything is functioning properly. But if the body suddenly stops and becomes still, it is the same for our cells as an earthquake is for us. It is a sign of death. And they start moving chaotically, so there is a sudden panic. When a man stands motionless for several minutes, it causes a panic in the organism. What does it lead to? If there's a problem, a trauma, a thrombus, it's all broken as the blood circulation is powerfully activated. It turns out that this powerful static state causes a powerful dynamic. This exercise is called standing still, I repeat. When a man learns to stand still for about 30 minutes, he learns to truly relax his body. And it is a way to conscious control over many vital functions. It can help you control the energy, the blood within your organism. This exercise is a very good preventive measure, and we recommend this exercise to those who want to learn to relax and control their vital functions. Exercise, energy cocoon. So we test the field around the student with our hands, and we make it more dense. We make a kind of imaginary snowman, create a cocoon around the student. Tanishka, try and feel the energy around her. Yes, I feel dense energy. It should be done at a distance of 1.5 to 3 meters, depending on the density of energy. So she feels it with her hands and makes it more dense. The student is usually standing still and the teacher is going around him, or vice versa. It is advisable that the student rotates clockwise, making his energy more dense. We're feeling it and making it more dense. So she's going round and making the energy more dense. At the same time, the student, who is taking the place of the teacher, develops a sense of the energy in space. He starts to sense this space. We're offering the first stage, consisting of 18 exercises. It is the first step. I think that it is especially important for children and for parents, so that they can help their small children, so that they can prevent them from falling ill and teach them to control their vital force. This film is aimed at parents. At some point, while I was developing my abilities, I realized that I should teach my children to do it, so that they are more protected, so that they possess the qualities that will make them leaders in this life. And I managed it. And not just me, we have already trained over 100,000 people. We have over 120 centers. People come from Japan, from the US. People are craving to master this method. They achieve very good results. I think that you will succeed too. You can use our tools, our experience, and develop very powerful abilities. We're very interested in the results that you managed to achieve, and we are getting more and more feedback. People tell us how they manage to develop their abilities, help their children, people around them. They manage to change their life and go into a completely new state.